Wilhelm II's tomb in Doorn, Netherlands. Wilhelm II died of a pulmonary embolus in Doorn, Netherlands on the 3rd of June 1941, aged 82, just weeks before the German invasion of the Soviet Union. German soldiers had been guarding his estate. Adolf Hitler, however, was reportedly angry that the former monarch had an honor guard of German troops and nearly fired the general who ordered them there when he found out. Despite his personal animosity toward Wilhelm, Hitler wanted to bring Wilhelm's body back to Berlin for a state funeral, as Wilhelm was a symbol of Germany and Germans during World War I. Hitler felt this would demonstrate to Germans the direct succession of the Third Reich from the old Kaiserreich. 65. However, Wilhelm's wishes of never returning to Germany until the restoration of the monarchy were respected, and the Nazi occupation authorities granted a small military funeral with a few hundred people present, the mourners including August von Mackensen, fully dressed in his old Imperial Hussar uniform, Admiral Wilhelm Canaris, and Reichskommissar for the Netherlands Arthur Seyss-Inquart, along with a few other military advisors. Wilhelm's request that the swastika and other Nazi regalia not be displayed at the final rites was ignored, however, and they are featured in the photos of the funeral that were taken by a Dutch photographer. 66. He was buried in a mausoleum in the grounds of Huisdorp, which has since become a place of pilgrimage for German monarchists. Small but enthusiastic and faithful numbers of them gather at Huisdorp every year on the anniversary of his death to pay their homage to the last German emperor. 67. Historiography. 3 trends have characterized the writing about Wilhelm. First, the court-inspired writers who considered him a martyr and a hero. Often they uncritically accepted the justifications provided in the Kaiser's memoirs. Second, those who judged Wilhelm as completely unable to handle the great responsibilities of his position, a ruler who was too reckless to deal with power. Third, after 1950, scholars sought to transcend the passions of the 1910s and attempted objective portrayal of Wilhelm II and his rule. 68. On the 8th of June 1913, a year before the Great War began, the New York Times published a special supplement.
Now the first 3 opinions on that are false, obviously. And to say that the people accepted Kaiser's memoirs uncritically is false. They looked at it objectively, impartial, and fair. We know what the Zionist's opinion is. And again, like I said, he died, and Kaiser Wilhelm II didn't want Nazi symbols at the funeral. Why? Because he could not really stand Hitler, really. He didn't like Hitler. Hitler was a dumbass, and I think if Kaiser Wilhelm had some kind of power or authority or something, an army, he probably would have attacked Hitler. And I guarantee a fight between Hitler and the Kaiser Empire, Hitler would have, with the new technological innovations, Hitler would have got his butt kicked, because Hitler's a dumbass, and Kaiser Wilhelm II believed that Hitler was a dumbass. He was a dumbass. Because Hitler stained Germany, gave Germany a bad, negative history. And so it pisses me off. You got all kinds of movies today where they don't mind doing movies about Hitler. Lots of movies about Hitler. Lots of movies about revolutionists in the 60s and 70s. The Bolshevik Revolution. Flat out communists that deserved to being brought to justice and put to death for their crimes against good, sound Christian principles. But you very seldom see any movies about Kaiser Wilhelm II or his German Empire or any of that kind of stuff. And if there is a movie made, it's always a Zionist bent on his reign and like to stain him, criticize him, ostracize him, and make him into a great Satan and demon, which he wasn't. He was a man of faith, a Christian, sound, and we should respect him. And like I said, I believe in the restoration of the German Empire, the restoration of the empires of the monarchs of Europe, and the restoration of this great republic. And all leaders should submit to the supreme leader of all, King Jesus, Lord of Lords, King of Kings, Grand Emperor Jesus Christ. And if this will be the case, and the rebellion of the Zionists will be put down, and the Christian God will be worshipped on an international scale, and the world will slowly and gradually be Christianized, ushering in a golden age of peace and prosperity. Psalm 2, Psalm 22, Psalm 72.
On the 8th of June 1913, a year before the Great War began, the New York Times published a special supplement devoted to the 25th anniversary of the Kaiser's coronation. The banner headline read, "Kaiser, 25 years a ruler, hailed as chief peacemaker." The accompanying story called him the greatest factor for peace that our time can show, and credited Wilhelm with frequently rescuing Europe from the brink of war. 69. Until the late 1950s, the Kaiser was depicted by most historians as man of considerable influence. Partly that was a deception by German officials. For example, President Theodore Roosevelt believed the Kaiser was in control of German foreign policy because Hermann Speck von Sternberg, the German ambassador in Washington and personal friend of Roosevelt, presented messages of Chancellor von Bülow to the president as messages from the Kaiser. Then historians downplayed his role, arguing senior officials learned to work around him. More recently, historian John C.G. Roll has portrayed Wilhelm II as the key figure in understanding the recklessness and downfall of Imperial Germany. 70. Thus the argument is made that the Kaiser played a major role in promoting the policies of naval and colonial expansion that caused the sharp deterioration in Germany's relations with Britain before 1914. 271.
And that is a false statement. It wasn't German propaganda. That's again another example of historical revisionism that started taking place in the 1950s. The Zionist historical revisionists that want to keep demonizing his reign. No, Kaiser was not responsible for it. It was Britain. It is a Franco-Russian alliance. And then later America entering in the war, and the revolutionists' fault for the downfall of the empire. And the fact that the fact of the matter is that the German Empire was not ready for war. They had what they needed to launch a successful fight, and the Germans, to even just to act like that, to talk like that about them, is to do them injustice. They fought valiantly, courageous. And used what they can to their advantages and made great successions. And I believe that the German Empire probably would have won if America didn't enter the war. So America should have stayed out of the war. America should have lined up with the German Empire. Britain should have lined up with the German Empire. Russia should have lined up with the German Empire. There should have been that alliance. And France, of course. but it wasn't to be the case, and because of that led to the decay of Europe, the communists and the socialists and the Marxists rising up, the Zionist, leading to this immoral world that we live in today. And why? Because Christians are not doing their job, reaching people with the gospel. Pagans basically exercise their job description, and that is paganism. And so it is time for Christians around the world to rise up and start doing their duty, fulfilling the Great Commission, repenting of their sins of omission and commission for not doing their part of fulfilling the Great Commission.